So the official trailer for Francis Ford Coppola's new epic Megalopolis just dropped, and I have to say it's one of the strangest trailers I've ever seen in a long time. Nothing about this movie is conventional, from the cast to the way it's financed to where we are now, with the marketing team seemingly with no idea how to sell this movie. By now, most of us will know the story behind Megalopolis. Coppola, one of cinema's most treasured mavericks, has been planning this movie as early as the 1970s apparently. Lawrence Fishburne, who is in the film, said that Coppola spoke to him about it on set of Apocalypse Now. He's been developing it for years, got close to making it in the early 2000s, and eventually must have just thought, screw this, I'm old, I don't need money, and he sold off most of his winery and self-financed this $120 million picture. Talk about ballsy. There's all sorts of controversial actors cast like Shia LaBeouf and Jon Voight, mixed in with well-known modern actors like Adam Driver and Giancarlo Esposito, and some who you might be surprised to learn are still alive, like Dustin Hoffman and James Remar. The filming was not without drama, in usual Coppola fashion. I've talked about this in previous videos on the movie, but there was news that he fired the entire special effects department, clashed with the crew, and controversy about some of his behaviour to female extras. When the movie screened at Cannes, most audiences seemed perplexed at what they saw, many figuring it to be the weirdest, craziest film they've seen in quite some time. But if you sift through the critics who were being respectful of Coppola's stature and reputation, saying things like, it's deeply personal, it's a passion project, and it's nothing like I've ever seen, the blunt truth is that most people who have seen the film do not say it's a good movie. Even still, I am rooting for Megalopolis. It's the biggest middle finger we've seen to corporate Hollywood in a long time. It's artistic eccentricity on steroids, and quite frankly, cinema has missed Francis. Maybe the movie is terrible and Coppola is long past it, as his more recent films might suggest. Maybe it's a masterpiece that will take years to be appreciated. Who knows? And this trailer seems to lean into that idea. It starts with Fishburne saying, true genius is often misunderstood, and then insanely runs through several of Coppola's films, The Godfather, Apocalypse Now and Dracula, with quotes from reviews at the time trashing the movies. The initial point clearly being that these movies were lambasted at the time, but are now lauded as classics. The final point being, surely, don't listen to the critics when it comes to Megalopolis, because eventually time will be kind to the movie. This is a really interesting way to market a movie. The fart sniffing aside, it's basically getting ahead of the critics, dismissing them, almost as if it knows that they're going to trash the movie, so the trailer is saying, hey, remember, they trashed these films as well. You might not like the movie now, but in a few decades you'll be calling Megalopolis a masterpiece. I've never seen a trailer make this kind of statement. It's ballsy, it's unconventional, it's very much in brand when it comes to Coppola, but there's also a hint of damage control and gaslighting. The closest I've seen to this was something with John Travolta's terrible Gotti movie, where it got trashed and the trailers used that to say things like, this is the movie critics don't want you to see, and they put a hit out on this movie. By the way, I've read that Coppola is also the one paying for the marketing, not the studio, Lionsgate. So perhaps he also had creative control over the trailers, and it's him who told the marketing team they outsourced the trailer to market it this way. I do like it though. It's bold and it captures the attention. It's different. And in a sea of mediocrity that is the current Hollywood landscape, I think audiences are craving different. It's a real statement. But it needs a mammoth of a movie behind it to do it justice. Otherwise, stuff like this is going to end up as a laughingstock. Coppola is at that grumpy old man stage of Ridley Scott or Werner Herzog, where he's literally too old and too successful to care about what you or anyone thinks about his movie. In a way, it's really brilliant marketing. It's Coppola's first big budget movie since the 90s and his first film in almost 20 years. He is the draw. He is why people will go and see this film. He knows it will bemuse audiences, so he's basically saying, I've gotten the better of critics before, watch me do it again. However, the marketing is problematic in a few ways. I mean, let's be honest, this siege, me versus the world, "They don't really care about us" attitude the film seems to have is disingenuous, because all three movies listed in the trailer were universally praised upon their release. The Godfather was a huge hit. Coppola even won an Oscar for it. It got Best Picture. I bet they had to sift through a lot of reviews before they found a bad one that they could quote. So to say, "Oh, back then they didn't understand my genius," is selling a lie, because they very much did. Apocalypse Now got mostly positive reviews as well. Dracula was very well received, but it is the best movie to use as the example out of the three. But then again, it isn't, because Dracula isn't considered by most audiences today as a 10 out of 10 masterpiece like the other two films. And then you consider, well, why not include other Coppola movies on that list? Maybe more recent ones, maybe Jack, maybe Twixt. In fact, his output from the past 30 years is truly his most divisive work. His movies from the 70s are among the best ever made. His run then is unmatched. In fact, it's a very easy thing to say he was the best director in the world in the 70s. And the absolute killer element of this trailer is that Lionsgate have pulled it. They've removed the trailer because the quotes featured in the beginning of the trailer are fake. They're not real. They made up the quotes. Like, what the heck? What's the story behind this? Did they ask an AI search engine to find bad reviews and it just spewed out random lines? Were they placeholder quotes and the trailer was released without them being fact-checked? Apparently one of the quotes used is from a review of Tim Burton's Batman. The studio has released a statement since. Lionsgate is immediately recalling our trailer for Megalopolis. We offer our sincere apologies to the critics involved and to Francis Ford Coppola and American Zoetrope for this inexcusable error in our vetting process. We screwed up. We are sorry. It's a bit weird for a massive billion-dollar corporation to use phrases like "we screwed up," but nothing about this movie has been normal. But it completely kills the ballsy nature of the trailer, and in fact, it's pretty disrespectful to these established film critics like Kyle and Ebert. Kyle apparently loved The Godfather, and Ebert had a lot of praise for Apocalypse Now. We could even see some lawsuits having the engines started over this. Owen Gleiberman, one of the critics quoted, spoke about this, saying, "Even if you're one of those people who don't like critics, we hardly deserve to have words put into our mouths. Then again, the trivial scandal of all this is that the whole Megalopolis trailer is built on a false narrative. Critics loved The Godfather, and though Apocalypse Now was divisive, it received a lot of crucial critical support. As far as me calling Bram Stoker's Dracula a beautiful mess, I only wish I'd said that. Regarding that film, it now sounds kind." So shall we talk a bit about the actual trailer? It does look interesting, and it probably didn't need the fake quote stuff in the beginning. The trailer shows a lot of stuff without actually giving anything away. Seems Coppola has a few things he wants to say about society and civilization, and it appears the gist is the way that we are living and all the ills that entails the only way to live? As Driver says in the trailer, is the way we're living the only one that's available to us? Some of the additions to the trailer that weren't in the first one are our first looks at Jon Voight and Talia Shire. From a visual perspective, there's some nice looking shots, some abstract ones like the hand reaching for the moon. But with some of them, the CGI does look a little shoddy. Like it's got this kind of oversaturation of colour grading and special effects, a kind of orange and teal look. And then you have shots that look really good. So it remains to be seen. I don't know, does anyone else think a lot of it looks kind of cheap for some reason? Reviews have said that there are some stunning sequences, but these are offset by terrible ones. Like, look at this. What you're seeing here is interesting. Giancarlo Esposito's desk is appearing to sink in his office, surrounded by sand. What's the context? It's all very interesting. But it looks all very green screen-like. The film's synopsis is as follows. A conflict between Cesar, a genius artist who seeks to leap into a utopian, idealistic future, and his opposition, Mayor Franklyn Cicero, who remains committed to a regressive status quo, perpetuating greed, special interest, and partisan warfare. What did you make of the trailer? What do you make of the review quotes fiasco? How do you think this film is going to turn out? Let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.